Hello, welcome to Truth Runs Deep podcast. I'm Terryn,
I'm Kalli.
and we're here to talk about all things Law and Order, SPU, the Mothership, Organized Crime, Fanfic writing, and more. I have to think about all those things in my head because I will forget one of them every single time.
And then
So
if you do no correct, then I'll correct
then
you.
you would have
But
corrected.
I didn't have to
Exactly.
this time.
Exactly. I had to actively count in my head, being like, there's three, four things, to talk, and then and more. So, I don't know. We had two birthdays since the last time we recorded.
We mentioned one last
We
episode.
mentioned we mentioned Peter last time, so I hope you all did tell Peter happy birthday, even though he's not online. But
And
I hope you did.
we did better because the
Yeah,
Law and Order page did it the day before.
literally.
Which,
Yeah, they
would
were the one time it
which
was a leap year, they missed their chance.
yeah, literally, which is great every other year. But this year we actually had the day and they
They
failed.
didn't.
They failed. Also, another fail. But we'll get and this isn't really like a spoiler, but they aired episodes on his birthday and he wasn't even
And
in it.
he wasn't in it. They were like, man, they were like, what? He
They
was
mentioned
mentioned, but
him.
he was not in it. He was
They
not
didn't
in
even
it.
see like, are you kidding me?
We
Shame.
didn't see.
Shame.
We didn't see him.
That was the first.
And yeah, but yesterday, as of today being Sunday, was Danielle's birthday. So
Yay.
yeah, so happy birthday, Danielle. She did like our tweet, and I thought that was
You.
really cool.
Yes, I know, really.
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah. Then what else? I had something else to say. Oh, make sure you all listen to her new podcast. It's called
Yes.
All the
Yeah.
Women I've Been. You can find it on YouTube.
It's very good.
I don't know if it's supposed to be on Spotify. I don't think it is yet, but go listen to it if you haven't.
Podcasters
Oh,
support podcasters.
exactly. So give her all the love in the world. Um,
Podcasters supporting podcasters.
yep. So good. All the support in the world. I don't think there's anything else.
Um,
So I think,
trying to think. Nope, I got nothing.
but I think we'll go in order this time and we'll see what we get. But trigger warning for this episode of the Mothership. I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there because there is mention of trying to think where to put it without giving some trouble on YouTube because YouTube will flag you if you actually say what it is.
Not being
Um
here anymore.
yeah, some yeah, that the people taking the action, a person taking the action of not wanting to be here anymore is on the episode. So that was the best way we could put it without getting in trouble on YouTube.
And
But
racial conversations.
oh yeah. Definitely that and racial conversations. Yeah, just so you all know that for you just for we discuss it. So I'm gonna do most of the talking probably discuss it. Okay. 23/6, which I'm surprised. It's a little crazy we're at 6 already. And there's only 13. So it's called On the Ledge, which you could figure out what that means. Like you said
Yeah.
earlier, the turquoise out. So it
So
starts off with do you have anything to say?
no, you go ahead.
Okay. Well, it starts off with Jalen. He's talking on the phone to somebody. They never said who this person is. He's talking on the phone. And he's talking, he said he went to a party and it was really a really cool party, I guess. That's and then he turns and he sees this guy standing on the edge of a bridge. Um, and this guy's name is Phil, and he's wearing this bracelet that his son made him. And then Jalen mentions that he was also raised by a single dad because this guy at the time, this guy who's on the edge is kind of saying that like um Jalen's trying to call him a name. He's like, you have a son, that's important. You shouldn't do this. And then like
Like,
he helps him off the ledge. He talks him out of it.
and the guy was
Um,
like, I wasn't going to jump. I was just having a really rough time.
yeah. So Jalen gives him his card and is like, if you need anything, you can call me and I'll help you out. I'll get you the right resources and such if you need, that kind of thing. And then Jalen goes to work. And
And
then
yeah, literally not even
5 minutes later. He's
Well,
sitting at
actually,
his desk.
Riley says something about him being late. He's like, "Oh yeah, I ran into this situation
Mhm.
on my way, and I had to help." In literally not even 30 seconds from him arriving to work, Dixon walks in and is like, "Yeah, there's a active shooter
Hey
situation."
man, nobody's there. So, we'll know if YouTube flags us. We'll find out, and it's
I don't
actually
know how
a
else to describe it.
it's a rather painless process if they'll edit the word out. They'll be like, if you say something they don't approve of, and they'll mark timestamp it and be like, we'll cut this part out for you if you would like, you know.
Active blank situation. The
Yeah, but
emergency.
we're not monetized currently anyway, so it doesn't even matter. But as long as they don't terminate it, we're not monetized yet on YouTube. So make sure
And
you subscribe, please,
yes, please.
on YouTube till we can get monetized. 'Cause we're not even close.
Riley
So
is
go
like
see.
out of the frying pan and into the inferno, and Shaw's like, "No, it's into the flames." It's like, whatever. Today can't get any worse.
It's been a rough day apparently.
And then they go, and they find that
But we put the name in the wrong order. I think you did the way around, but it's okay.
what?
I said we put last name first name for some reason in the notes, but that's okay.
Oh,
Whoever typed one of us typed it like that. Oops.
I
Oh
was
well.
sick. I didn't know what I was doing.
I don't know. You were kind of sick. So who knows what's in these
Still
notes for
am.
real? Still am, but who knows what we actually wrote?
So
But
so they look and Dr. Brian Jeffers is
that's what it's
dead
supposed to say.
on the ground.
Yeah,
And all of a
his
sudden,
wife come walks in.
his wife, like, they see a woman and Shaw's like, "Oh, you can't come." And she like almost dog piles into him because it's his wife and she's trying to look and she's literally calling out his name and it's sad and ugh.
Yeah, it's really
Um, then
cool.
wait, what was this? You said something about the credits that I was not paying
Oh yeah,
attention.
because they have when they do like the walking out, no one is who's in the middle instead of
Uh,
instead of name blanked. Oh my god, McCoy.
it's been a week. All right. Like you can't tell me you've forgotten already.
No,
Yeah,
I didn't forget. It was just one of those like brain starts this
I know.
sparks we're not firing at at that moment. But
So then they'd start, we go back to they get talk to like, people who saw what was going on. They find out the person who owned
the
the
weapon.
the weapon, was named Terrence
Figured it
Lemon.
out.
He said, yeah, no, it wasn't me because it was stolen 2 months ago.
Mhm.
So, then they find like, connections. Like
Yeah,
this has this they found like a pin, I think it's like a pin or something with like a school on
yeah.
it.
I think it's on the backpack. The pen is on the backpack of that's what it is, something like that. So I know there was mention of the backpack.
Yeah, and you
Oh,
mentioned that Dixon has readers too, like Olivia, which
I did.
awesome. And then yeah, so they we're trying to figure out
Like what happened.
how to figure out how to who like, who has the backpack and everything. And Maroon goes to, a judge and is like, we need the information from the school to figure out who it could possibly be. And well, it worked because Violet walked in to the precinct and she goes send Maroon a fruit basket.
If they got what they needed.
They got what they needed. We find out that, they are looking into this 11th grader. His name is Daniel Cartwright. Um, they go talk to him. They talk to his aunt. Jalen asks, like, where's your mom? And she, like, literally can't answer because we find out his mom died yesterday.
Probably yesterday.
Literally yesterday. Um, she was trying to go to the hospital because she was in labor. And she and the baby died.
Yeah. So they explain more about what happens in a minute. We haven't gotten to that
Okay.
part yet, but that's like the general thing of what they figured out happened.
But it's literally like, wow.
Yeah.
Um,
So they're kind of
and
looking
then
around, and Jalen sees the
and
picture
Jalen
on the fridge.
of the dad, and the dad is the man who he was
Mhm.
talking to this morning at the
Yep.
bridge.
Mhm.
And they go outside, and Riley's like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "No." Like, the man, I told you the man I saved
Mhm.
up one help on the bridge. Yeah, that was him. I
Yeah.
saved him just so that he could shoot up a damn ER.
Yeah. That's literally what he said. I'm
And
like,
it's like, oh, um, we find out they're trying to find out a connection of why Kenneth Cartwright went after him.
yeah.
And we find out that the doctor, Jeffers, examined the mom, Nora, when she was
Mhm.
dealing with the pain. And it was kind of ignored.
Yeah. He didn't like really take her seriously. He was just like, whatever.
Yeah, we'll get into more of that later.
Yeah. They kind of take their time with like explaining what happened.
Yeah, and Jalen feels guilty because it's like if he didn't save this man,
This wouldn't have happened.
this doctor would probably still be alive.
Yeah. There's no guarantees, but he at least thinks that anyway.
And we find out that, the guy is um
Um, he's
going after
another doc.
other
Yeah, he's
doctor
going to go.
and he's trying to find him. Luckily,
Yeah,
they find him first, but only because
yeah,
Jalen is legit speeding like crazy. And
yeah.
Riley's like, Shaw, you need
Hold
Jalen,
on for Jill.
stop. Um, Riley literally jumps out of the car to chase after Kenneth. Well, and then Kenneth, stops and he has a weapon to his head. And Jalen is trying to talk it out of it. He's like, don't make your son an orphan. And that
Yeah,
kind of that hit.
yeah. Stop. Makes him stop. He's like,
And
put it down.
and then so Jalen cuffs him and he goes, an eye for an eye. He killed my wife, so I killed him. And then Jalen is like, you have the right to remain silent over and over again. Basically, like,
He's like,
shut
stop
up,
saying it.
stop,
And he's like, the more I witness, the more I have to tell you. You
stop.
gotta stop talking.
So yeah. Then we get, he gets remand, and then we get a trial.
Yep.
The doctor's wife is testified and how like he's a good man and a good father and everything.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Yeah.
Then the defense attorney goes in and talks about her husband's um when
Lack
he
of care.
examining Nora, and this is where,
They kind of explain what happened. So
the racial discrepancies start.
it says she was only examined for 6 minutes, which is not long enough to do literally in 6 minutes.
Literally anything. Like it would be enough for you to maybe answer a few questions. Not
Yeah,
enough
but
for
not
to
enough to have be looking at whatever.
examining you and your pregnant body enough to see if there's any sort of issue.
Exactly.
Um, and because he only examined her for 6 minutes, he failed to diagnose preeclampsia, which is extremely dangerous and
Yeah,
causes
it causes you to have really high blood pressure, like dangerously high blood pressure. And like the only cure for preeclampsia is you have to deliver the baby. So like them missing this is a this doctor missing this is a huge problem.
yeah. Um, and once would be could be considered, a tragic mistake. He did this with two other black women, one who also died.
Mm.
Like,
Like this is not good.
that's not just a mistake anymore.
Now
That
you
is
kind of miss it.
leaning towards racist
Yeah,
behavior.
yeah. There's already a black maternal health crisis. Like black women are dying in childbirth or throughout their pregnancy or losing their babies at an astronomical higher rate than other. So already a big deal, and then letting this slide is a huge problem.
I knew the defense attorney was going to bring it up because it is such a huge issue.
Mm. Mm.
I'm
I'll keep going.
I'm gonna correct me if I'm wrong, but or stop me if I'm saying something wrong. But a black woman shouldn't have to fight even harder to get the right care for herself and their baby.
Yeah, you'd be right about that. It's such a huge problem, especially now. And there's way few doctors of color than there are. So like,
Yeah. So,
especially in that field.
this case is a big deal. They
Mm.
find they then find out that Cartwright is changing his plea to not guilty by reason of insanity. Like basically, he just lost his wife and his baby. He snapped.
Yeah,
Um, then we get the scene of Nolan in his office and he's talking to a senator.
yeah.
Like, ooh. Um, and then Sam walks in after he puts the
And
phone
hang
down. And she's like, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And she mentions that Nolan is the acting district attorney, which it's like, ooh, fancy. Yes.
yeah. Yeah, for this one episode because the new guy comes in next time. But we'll get
Yeah,
back there.
literally. He gets it for
There's
one.
one,
And he's
one.
like, yeah, yeah, well, the thing is though, Nolan isn't, loving it, which is interesting. He's like, and then, Sam goes on to say that I can't believe he's gone in regards to Jack. Nolan says what we're all thinking. It's the end of an era. He was amazing, which is true. Um, yeah, and so then they get into talking about the case, and we find out that Kenneth had been racially profiled 5 times prior and was
Mm-hmm.
even put in jail once because of it.
Yeah,
And I think this is Sam. And she says, I'm not saying we let him
yes,
walk,
it's there.
but we should show
They're
him some.
kind of talking about what they should do about the situation.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm not saying we should let him walk, but we should show him some compassion for what he's been through. And
Then
so they're like,
they go
okay.
see Kenneth.
They go
They
to
go to
talk
see Kenneth and the attorney.
at the jail to see if they can offer him a deal.
Yeah,
And he wants a home sentence. And Nolan's like, that's not how
can't,
this works.
yeah, we can't do
In my
that.
head,
Not
I'm
on,
like,
not on
I'm
that kind of charge. They probably can't. There's probably some higher ups
yeah,
in the
but
law.
like in
They
my head,
probably
I was
can't.
like, we know this guy is never gonna do this again.
Yeah,
So
it's unfortunately the law of the land, I guess.
like I don't see the issue behind it, but You know, originally they said 15. He's like, no, 5. And then Nolan is like 10 is the lowest that will go. And the defense attorney is like, that's a good deal. You should take it. And
Mhm.
he thinks about it for a second, and then he's like, I can't. I want my son to know I fought for him and my family. And I want the jury to realize I'm a good man who did a bad thing because I was crazy that day.
Yeah, you're like,
So he turns down the deal,
yeah,
and the trial will keep going. Um, so then he's on trial, and Kenneth admits that yes, he has regrets, but he's been discriminated against. And, when it came to my wife and baby, I couldn't see past it. Like, he was driving them to the hospital, and then she literally died on the way. Like,
yeah.
it was bad.
Because she went home and then the aim was taking her back to the hospital. Then she,
Yeah, they went home because the doctor was like, oh, she's fine. Even though they kept saying, no, she's not. Went home. It got worse. Tried to take her back to the hospital. Died on the way. They, yeah, he goes on and he keeps saying that the doctor said that told her the pain was in her head, which, unfortunately is not the first time we've
yeah,
heard that I've heard that from a story from a doctor, but
yeah,
if you hear that from your doctor,
that is a problem. Better go get a second
that's a
opinion.
problem.
Yeah, it's a problem. They should give you a better
Like,
opinion, but go see that a second one.
like doctors are paid to help you with your pain. If you have a doctor that's telling you your pain is in your head, either A, this person should not be a doctor, or B, you need to go find a new doctor because that's not something that's okay for doctors to say. um, Told her the pain was in her head, like she was stupid, like she didn't matter. And the guy goes on and he continues and he said, I wanted to myself, but I didn't. And I will say, I don't know the name of this actor, but he was amazing. Um, then they go on to they get
A doctor,
they get
psychiatrist,
a psychiatrist
doctor, one of
who
those words that can I get psychiatrist and psychologist.
talks about something called RBTS or race-based traumatic syndrome, which she calls the fraternal twin of PTSD. Basically, people are getting traumatized from being racially discriminated against over and over and over and over again.
Yep.
And it's not, the only problem is that it isn't in the DSM-5 yet, but it is recognized by psychologists. So, like, it's not official, but
Yeah, if you don't
it's
know what the DMS is, it's the like diagnostic statistics manual, I think. Diagnostic manuals. I forgot. Anyway, they update it every so often and they add new stuff to it. It's a psychiatrist. Well, people jokingly call it the psychiatrist Bible, but like they add
yeah.
stuff to it every so often. They update
Then
it.
the
They said
next thing that we get is, Jalen's leaving the building and Nolan
mm-hmm.
walks up to him and he's like, oh, Jalen. And I'm like, oh,
Oh, this
okay.
is the new
We're friendly now. Hmm. Um, but Nolan asked Jalen to testify. Jalen is
one.
like, no. And he's like, oh, I just need you to, Nolan's like, I just need you to tell the jury. You heard him, say an eye for an eye.
Yeah.
And Jalen's like, no. And Nolan is like, is that what this is about? Your guilt?
And you're like, this is gonna go well.
It's like, this isn't going well. And he says, no, I'm just not sure I remember it that way. It's like, oh. And Nolan says, excuse me. Jalen, again, I can't help you, Nolan.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to do this. It does not want to do it.
And then it says, detective, I knew you'd see it that way. Freaking slams a subpoena on his
So
chest.
you're taking it now. He's like, well, now. Like,
Says, I'll
ugh.
see you in the morning, and walks away.
Yeah, because you
I
can't
was
deny
like,
a subpoena that lock
holy
you up.
shit.
So he's like, you are now.
It's like, holy shit, man.
Yeah. If you
Like,
skip out being subpoenaed, they will arrest you. So it's a big deal.
that made a few certain things run through my head. One, hey, you know that we both like Nolan.
Yeah. So tell him,
But in that
mm,
moment, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? I did not like him in that moment. Because it was very, cocky.
it's like we have to win this case. You're the only way we can. Here you go.
But it also, like, man, shows that, man, white bias fucking still a thing.
Mhm.
Because if Nolan, took a moment to, try to see it from Jalen's point of view, he would probably still subpoena him. I mean, have to subpoena him, but he wouldn't be so
But not as
cocky
aggressive.
about it.
But not as aggressively as it happens. It's like,
Exactly, not as
ooh,
aggressive as it happened. I literally like, but we might have to write this, but I'm like, I need a scene where like Sam finds out what happens and she's like, I'm sorry, you did what? Like, do you not understand how
yeah.
difficult of a scenario this is for him
Hmm.
as a black man who is dealing with another black man doing this because of all the discrimination he's faced?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they should because Sam is
Yeah.
one of the only other minorities in
Yeah.
this place.
Yeah.
Like, you got a white cop and a white lawyer, and then you also have a black cop and a Middle Eastern lawyer.
Mhm.
Also, which another point being, Jalen used to be a lawyer.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that
Well,
part.
so like Nolan, like you just went about this the wrong way in many
Yeah,
different
it didn't.
ways.
It didn't come across very well at all.
It's like I need a reason to defend you, but you kind of just went down a little bit. My books, like you need a you need you need a lesson here, man. You need somebody to tell you what you did wrong.
Yeah.
Um, so then we get a scene of Riley and Shaw going out for a drink.
Yeah. Well, Riley doesn't drink. He had an alcoholic beverage, but I just think that because he doesn't drink. He had
What?
something else, but no. Because I think Riley doesn't have
Oh,
alcohol
right.
though.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
they go. I couldn't describe what they were doing. They went out to have drinks, but not alcoholic. Well, Shaw has an alcoholic drink, but Riley does not because Riley stopped drinking after the
Riley,
incident.
right. Riley used to have an issue with drinks. Oh, good eye, because I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, after the incident, they talked about it a couple episodes ago. So I did
Uh,
catch that. I was like, he's not drinking.
yeah. Okay. So they're going on into talking about, this scenario, the situation. Mm. Shaw says, I know what
He's
it's like.
also not very sensitive about this either, but
Yeah, it's like Shaw says, I know what it's like to get ignored and mistreated. It does a number on you, man. And then Riley's like, have you ever experienced something like this before?
you're like,
And
yep.
Shaw goes on to
Um,
explain
it's,
the situation from last season where he was
mhm.
racially profiled
Yeah,
because these cops were looking for, a black man
and that's
who
all they went on.
actually no, they were looking for a murderer. They
Yeah,
didn't
there
even
was
turn out
nothing.
to be a black man. They just equated murderer with a black man, saw Shaw, and said, that's who we're looking for.
Yeah, I think he happened to stumble across the tracks. I forgot what happened at the Honda flush though. But anyway,
And
racial
he
profiling
basically
is bad.
was like, you know, they literally wanted me to get on my knees for them. I wouldn't. And the department took their side and
Yeah.
suspended me. And
Mhm.
he's like, Riley's like shocked, but you know, Charlotte's
He
like,
doesn't
yeah,
even get it.
I'm pissed. But yeah. And he's like, yep, it's not just the police or the hospitals.
He says a bunch of other stuff too. I can't remember the last one, but basically, this
It's
is
everywhere.
everywhere. I don't even know what I was trying to say. Did not finish the
And he
next
goes
sentence.
into like, you know, talking about what he's gonna do in the trial. And Riley says, well, if you're not going to tell the truth, you're in the wrong job. And I'm like,
Nobody
can
seems
all
to
of
get it.
you white men just shut up for five
Exactly. You
minutes?
don't get it.
You don't
You
get it. And
get
I'm
it.
not ever going to get it either. But they certainly don't.
And I really am fine with my own
And
ignorance for like
literally, Jalen goes on to say, like, um, that you're a great partner and everything. I know we're trying to figure things out. And then
I
we
feel
have
like
one
it's enough.
of the most heart-wrenching lines
It is. It's intense.
in a
It's
long
long.
time. And I feel like you should read it instead of me.
It says he says, but with all due respect, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're talking about, and you should be grateful that you never will. And then
And literally,
it's
he's on the verge of tears. Like,
yeah,
mm,
it's something I think about often, especially when it comes to like what I want to do with my life and like everything and such. Like the experience that I have is different than other people. And we're gonna say I remember my friends are texting, but yeah, that is a true sentence that like some people, there people just aren't gonna get it, and like people aren't gonna understand your outrage or your anger about the situation. And
yeah.
it takes a lot of humility for like you said, you have to sit yourself down and be humble and willing to listen to people of color's experience. Otherwise, we're not gonna ever see the change that we want. We aren't willing to sit at the table and just
Like, Shaw is basically like, you're never going to understand it because you're not like me. And that's true. And it's honestly something we all, well, not all of us, but all of us
the was about to
and
explode.
people need to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um,
Don't
we
sleep
might
too
have.
much when you thought the Zoom was about to explode. So
Okay. Well, the next thing is Jalen testifying, and we'll talk about that when we come back, depending on when this explodes.
yeah, the Zoom will curse it.
And I will say he was not happy about it.
Yeah. We're back 10 minutes later.
10, like the SpongeBob thing, 10 minutes later.
Mhm.
All right, so we left off with Jalen testifying, and he is not happy about it in the slightest. Like he's literally answering everything monotone, and he's just miffed. I mean, rightfully so.
Exactly.
And Nolan, keeps pushing me, like, yeah, what did he say? And eventually, we see Jalen looking at Riley, we see him looking at Cartwright, and he says that he said an eye for an eye. And you can tell he wasn't happy saying it, but it's what happened.
Yeah.
And then, like at the end of every single episode, just about, we get the verdict.
Hmm.
And 9 times out of 10 on this show, I'm pretty happy with the verdict. This time I was not.
No, that's
Like that, I literally almost cried. he was Kenneth was found guilty. So,
Yeah.
instead of being in prison for like 10 years,
It's like 20.
yeah, probably 20, he literally he almost falls to the table,
Mhm.
just crying when they're arresting him. His son is there. His son has lost both of his parents
Yeah.
in the span of 2 days.
Yeah. Literally.
Um, and you see the son looking back at Jalen, and Jalen's a mess.
Mhm.
And yeah, so not really a happy ending this time around.
Yeah. No.
Oh, no, this is the one time I wanted a not guilty verdict.
Unfortunately, the world sucks. So,
Yeah. And the wife was happy because her.
yeah.
But I was literally
Husband's getting
just like,
just. I don't know. I don't want to call it justice because I don't think it is, but
it wasn't. I don't really think it was either. I'm like, I wanted to be like, shut up, white lady, shut up. Yeah. Mm-mm. Nope. Nope. Not happy with the verdict. Nope. Mm-mm.
no. Yeah.
Because if he, was found not guilty or something. Actually, no. Here's what they could do to make it better, but they won't. They could, put his sentence in like a
If that was debated, I'm pretty certain, and they were like, I don't know if we can do that.
like a
Yeah,
psychiatric.
they talked about it in the episode. It wasn't very long, but then
But no, apparently not. Because
no,
he's like, I can't go to jail. Like, I won't do well in jail.
no,
And now, probably going to jail. Don't know how that's gonna happen. Literally, this family has disintegrated in seconds. And
yeah. Because what I thought about as we were sitting here is like, would there have been outrage if this like of the same situation happened and it was white people? Like, would the same story have unfolded?
like, if it was a black doctor in a way.
No, I mean like if it was like in general, like if this had happened to a white family, would there have been the same amount would there be any outrage?
Oh, that
I
he
mean,
probably
yeah,
would have been
we
found
obviously
not
know, but
guilty. If it was a white person, they probably would have been found not guilty.
yeah,
But
exactly. But
it
because
put black man against a white doctor and a white grieving widow.
yeah,
The world we live in right now, everyone going with the grieving widow.
yeah,
Except us, because I literally almost
that's
started
correct.
sobbing. I literally was like,
Which is why,
no, I don't want to, no. Ugh.
yeah,
I bet everybody else, like, I mean, we didn't see everybody else's reaction. We literally only saw the son's reaction, and Jalen's reaction. And Jalen was just like, he was upset. It was, you know, it's a complicated situation, but at the heart of it, Jalen is like, this man did not deserve any of
yeah,
it.
mm-hmm.
Um, Meanwhile, everybody else is probably like, okay, we got the verdict that we needed. No, shut up, all of you. Shut up.
It's not as easy as just getting a verdict.
No, it really isn't. And it'll be interesting to see, they probably won't, but if they do bring this up again later on, how Shaw and Nolan's interactions are going to be
Yeah,
from now on. Yeah. So I give this episode 5 stars.
yeah, the acting in it is good.
Yeah.
It
The
tells a
verdict,
story that
the
fortunately
verdict gets a
reads.
0.
Fortunately, it's
The verdict gets a 0 for yayness, but unfortunately, it's
that is the way of the world.
probably more accurate than,
Yeah.
But that's also the thing. This TV is supposed to give us, sometimes things. Couldn't they give us the verdict that we wish we could get in real life? Can't we? Couldn't they?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Fortunately, that is the way of the world.
there's that. So yeah, 5 stars. And then not next week, but next time, um, the moment people have been waiting for. Tony Goldwyn is here, y'all, and I literally don't remember what the episode is
Hold on,
about.
I'll get it. 1 second. Wrong doc is open. That's the one from our writing. 1 second.
I
It's called
literally don't.
Balance of Power 23/7.
I don't remember what the episode is about. I just know that he's there now, and that
It
it ain't
says
going
when a
well.
successful Wall Street investor is murdered in his home, Shaw and Riley dig into his professional and personal lives to identify his killer. DA Baxter puts pressure on Price and Maroon to make sure his first case in office is a success.
It literally, like, I don't remember a whole lot from the promo, but I
It's
literally,
mostly Sam and Nolan and Baxter, pretty much is the whole trailer.
yeah, which will be interesting. But literally, the
And so
one
Sam
thing,
says he wants to do things his way, referring to Baxter, and it doesn't seem like it's going to change
literally
much.
the last episode, the last line of the
They don't
promo.
know anything about him either.
No, we just know that he's played by Scandal royalty.
Yeah.
Um, Literally, the last line in the promo is something along the lines of, "Are you handing in your resignation, Nolan?" And it's like, oh damn, this ain't going well.
Mm-mm. It's not going well.
It's not, so that'd be interesting. But I'm excited.
Yep,
Like
it'll be.
I only watch bits and pieces of Scandal, but
I've not
like
watched Scandal yet. I have many things on the list of things I need to watch. I
which is
haven't had time.
I've only watched bits and pieces of Scandal, which is why I know who this man is. So I'm very excited to see this character. Okay.
Yep.
As
So
you,
SV, it is called Carousel.
I will say, not many people
And
like this episode.
people people didn't like this. It's okay. It's not their best work, but it's
Yeah, it was
it's
okay.
all right.
It's not like it was horrible.
It's not. It
Like
was all right. Whatever. It was like,
if an episode is horrible, I will be honest about
we
that
would
from
have
the
up in front of and said it was really bad, but it wasn't bad. I mean, it was
wasn't,
just all right. It
bad
wasn't their
bad.
best
It
work.
was just eh.
It wasn't their best work. We're telling you up in front, it wasn't their best. It was all right. Anyway, it's called Carousel. Doesn't really make sense why it's called Carousel. I still don't think it makes sense. But anyway, moving on. So at the beginning, there is these. I believe they start with the two guys, and these two guys are like talking about what they want to do tonight because they're college kids. They find out what they want to already know. And then they like have this. No, they don't show the part yet. They're talking to. They're at a hostel, which if you got to look what a hostel is, kind of like dorms sort of, but like if you do like international, like if you're from like international, you're trying to like if you do like school from far away or such like that, and trying to come, you like not school from far away. If you live in another country and trying to go to school in the United States, you need a place to live. They have like it's kind of like dorms, but kind of not. But when I looked it up,
Like you literally like pay to live in like a bunk and go on with people while you're figuring shit out.
yeah, basically. And they're like talking, and these two girls come in and they talk to like the guy at the desk, um, about like what plans they could do tonight and such. And then I'm gonna smack the ladybug because I ladybug. And then die. Sorry. I'm really aggressive about I really hate ladybugs. And I kill them because I'm not in my room. I'm in the study room and there's like so many of them. But anyway, sack and lady, that's what I do at that time. But these guys kind of I can't remember how they got around to this part, but they're like, happy hunting, may the best man win. Because they don't really explain what that means yet until
Yeah,
later.
they're just like they see these two girls they think are cute, and they're like happy hunting, and then
Yeah.
yeah,
But one of them is like a white girl. The other one is Asian. I think that's kind of the general sort of look of what they're saying about that. But it'll make sense. It actually doesn't make sense. But the story gets more put together. And they kind of talk to their friend, which they jokingly call Dustpan, which his name is Dustin, but they'll say that later.
yeah,
Because he doesn't seem like he's interested in going out and doing this thing. Because that doesn't seem like his vibe.
yeah.
Doesn't seem like a good time. And then the two girls, one's named Mara and the other one's named Leah. It was hard to tell at first, but closed
Because
captioning
they
it
like
we couldn't tell at first.
it sounded differently. It was actually Maura.
Yeah. And we were like Laura at first. We are like, no, that's not her name. But anyway. Um they go to this like bar and then she's like dancing with the guys, but she seems like heavily intoxicated and it's not going well.
Yeah,
And then like she's in between the two guys and they're looking like they're having a great time, but she's not having a great time. And then the two um they like go to a car and she's in the middle. They get in like a taxi to go back to the place they're staying. And then yeah. At first I thought something was going really bad in the taxi, but it actually didn't. That's not where it fell
yeah.
down.
No, I thought that's what was gonna happen too.
I was like, it's not gonna go well.
Yeah, they literally just they're like, give him a bunch of money and be like, bring her back to the hostel. So then we get the intro, and then we get Olivia walking into the precinct.
Yeah, she's texting once again. No one knows who she's talking to, but somebody, I guess.
Somebody, and then we see her like stop and like look at the precinct, and I'm like, I have a feeling like for like, the first time in a long time, she's like, I got a squad again.
Yeah, there's a full group of people in here for once. Because
Uh,
we got Curry and Sykes and Velasco and Bruno. Finn isn't
yeah,
in the episode this time, but
and
we kind of Finn is not here today, but we got four people for once, in squad.
yeah. So, they get in there. We find Olivia's looking around and Bruno's like, "Oh yeah, the IAB queen made muffins."
She
So
makes she's a
apparently
baker.
that's her
She's
thing.
baking stuff all the time. She made donuts, now she made
Yeah.
muffins. Like, what did she
Yep,
bring next time?
donuts, then muffins,
What are we
sweet.
getting next time?
And then
What
and
did
then
she bring
she
next
Curry continues and she's like, "Yeah, and Moneybags is on his second."
time? They must be really
Velasque's
good
like
then. They're
Velasque's
tearing
like,
it up.
"I would get one before they're gone, Captain."
They
She
must be
walks
really
over
good.
to
So,
yeah, she walks over to Sykes and she's doing something with her coffee and she's like, "I see you found my hazelnut stash." And they're talking a bit, how, they're both gonna be here. Um, and then they're like doing, they're also like passing a ball around.
yeah.
And, Olivia literally just walks through and is like, "This is mine now." And then they get a call about a victim at the hospital, and then she's gonna go. And then she says, "There better be a muffin left when I get back."
Man, don't eat up.
Okay, so noted. Don't get in between Olivia Benson and baked goods.
Exactly. The
Noted.
donuts, the muffins.
Noted. And so they have, I think they go Sykes and Courier with her. And somebody made this
Mhm.
point on Twitter, and I don't remember who, because if I remembered, I would 100% give them credit because I don't remember, because it was a very good point. And this is no way in all a dig to Jordana and Amy because they're both incredible.
Mhm.
But it really does feel like
It
the person
really
made
is.
made a point that it's like they replaced Muncie and Shirlish with another Muncie and Shirlish,
We
just
literally did.
older.
Just older. They were like,
It's
these young
like,
people, it's not the problem.
oh my God, they did.
Like, really
And we
did.
still have no freaking idea why they said they like kicked Molly and Jasmine to the curb for absolutely no
Yeah,
fucking reason.
yeah.
Um,
And
we're
she,
still mad at you about that.
yeah, you could have had all these lovely people, but unfortunately, no.
Yeah, literally, you could have had all of them. You could have had,
We literally, they've had massive squads, especially like in 1.0, they were like, it's supposed to
yeah,
like 10
you
people.
could have had, you could have had Curry, Shirlish, Muncie, and Sykes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But no, but yeah, no. So we still love you, Molly and Jasmine, and we're going to keep writing you your
Mm-hmm.
characters, and we're going to keep talking about you until
Mm-hmm.
forever. Um,
Yeah.
anyway, and it's like it's sad, really, because not only is it bad for Molly and Jasmine, but it's bad for Amy and Jordana. If this is all the connect, if this is all people are going to think
People,
about,
yeah. That's
be
what
their
we kind
character.
of said about like, yeah, we've kind of said this before when they've done this kind of like same routine of like, they keep changing out the city with saying similar people, and it's the same idea behind the character anyway. You know, they just have like some young, like a rough and tumble young person, someone super serious. Like that rotation happens quite often, and like they gotta stick with somebody, or like, I mean, I guess the business as it is, I guess, whatever.
Yeah. All right. So there's that. Then back to the show. We got Nurse Rudy is back, and he's the
Hmm.
like the tall, big nurse who specializes in the sexual assault.
Yeah,
Uh,
you've seen
case.
him a couple times. We saw him. The last time we saw him is in the one right before. It was right, but it's in season 23. Right before, it's the way like maybe it's one or two more before the finale. I can't remember what the episode's called. But
He
that was, yeah,
specializes in like the caretaking of both young women, but also like young queer
yeah.
victims. And he's
Hmm.
like make sure like they're all taken seriously and taken care of, which we love this one. We love this nurse.
Hmm.
So they go in and they talk to Maura, and she said that the guys were obsessed with her friend, but not really her, so
Hmm.
she left. Um, she saved um Leah's underwear because Leah was showering and everything. So they had some sort of evidence.
Yeah,
Apparently the guys were playing a game called Murdered by Words.
I still don't understand what that meant, but you know,
I don't know what that means, but And so then Olivia goes to talk to Leah. Poor girl, she's traumatized. But more so, she's like terrified her parents are gonna find out that she's no longer a virgin,
hmm,
which is not her fault. Um, and Olivia's like, well, you're an adult, so that means we don't have to tell your parents, and you don't either. And then she's like, I don't even what she's like, what happened to me? She doesn't even know what happened to her. And Olivia's like, we're going to find out. So Bruno and Velasco go investigating, um, at the hostel and everything, and then at the bar, and everybody recognizes Leah, and then they're back at the precinct, and I think this is one of the first times we get the creep she mentioned.
hmm. The only time, I think.
And then she's like, yeah, we need to figure out a case, get more evidence before I can even, present it to him. Then they find out Leah is trying to book a flight home to Singapore.
Yeah.
So they need to work fast to get this figured out.
Hmm.
They find out that these guys, they took a bus Their names are Hayden and Frederick, and then they're in a gifted program in Cambridge, which is in Massachusetts,
Mhm.
which is a 5-hour drive from Manhattan.
One of them was complaining about it. I forgot who it was. Might have been Bruno. So we drove 5 hours.
Yeah. And they're like, when's the last time you saw her, bro?
Yeah,
And
because
they're
they say something. Because when the guy says "bro," and then Bruno responds with "bro," and it's like, "Can't you just?"
that's so funny. So
Bruno
they're
was
trying
hilarious.
then Olivia brings pictures of the guy. She points them both out and she goes into more detail of what happened that night. And she wanted to be like an American girl. And she wanted to try something because her dad is a church deacon and she's very, quaint and religious, but she wanted to try something while she was here.
Hmm.
Um, she said she wanted to kiss a guy down there.
Yeah, that's how she described it. You all can
That's
use
how
your
she
context.
describes
You
it.
know what that means.
Yeah.
Okay,
Context, please.
you can figure it out.
She did that with Hayden. And Olivia's like, you consented to that. And she's like, yes, I consented to that. But that was it.
Hmm.
Oh, I missed it. This is when they were passing around the ball, and
The
that's
ball.
it took it. I mixed that up. But yeah.
You know, behind the scenes of them passing the ball around. It's really funny. They posted it before the episode of them like
And it's like,
the
damn,
behind the scenes clip is
Mariska,
really funny. She like winds
Mariska
it up.
is
She like winds it up like a baseball, and the behind the scenes is really funny. You all need to go watch it.
she was good. It was like, man, damn, ma'am, you good at this.
It was so funny. And then it's like the whole clip is really funny because it's that clip about the ball, and there's another part where she's talking to one of the directors, and she's like, "I don't think my character would do it that way," or
No,
like
my
that. And I was
character
like,
would
"You're
do
so
that.
funny.
No, that's so funny.
You're
Um,
really funny."
so then they're talking in this thing, about the cases, and they're trying to figure out a connection. And they find out that it's like, they're literally like, colluding with each other to figure
Mm-hmm.
this thing out. And it's predatory. And it's like, Jesus.
I know.
Like, get these people out of my state, please.
You're like, get them out.
Um, and then Bruno's like, I don't understand why these guys travel 5 hours to get laid.
Exactly, like room. Cool.
Well, then they go to their
They're that's where they're living.
yeah, they're at the college campus. And they go
Yeah,
to where they're living and they find just Dustin and his girlfriend who's Japanese. And, they go investigating and looking around and they find this map of the world
yeah. It's kind of hidden. They kind of were looking, and they open it up, and they're like, "Oh,
with pins. And it's like, I think we're looking at some sort of game.
yeah."
Then,
There's a lot of pens in all different, like different color pens in different most of the countries of the world.
yeah,
Not a
it
lot. I can't remember how many. There was a lot.
including Singapore.
Yeah, they just had marked that one. They're like, "Oh,
Uh-oh. Um, we find out that so yeah, the guys are brought in and they're like, "How do you know?" And I think this is when she was talking to Hayden, and Olivia's like, "We checked your credit cards, dumbass."
exactly."
That's the
Got it.
first
Yeah.
time in a while Olivia's just been like directly brutal.
Oh, she look. I'm sick of this. We checked her.
Um, then they have Bruno. So they have two sets of the detectives talking to
Yeah,
Frederick,
the guys are
Hayden,
talking with one of them, and the ladies are talking to the other.
and then they have Bruno and Velasco then switch gears and go talk to Dustin, and they
They're
do this
talking to us.
really cool good cop, bad cop
They do it
thing.
really funny.
It
It's a
was
quite.
so funny. I was like, what is
It's pretty
happening?
funny.
Because at first you're like, what is going on? And then you realize it's all part of the thing. And
Yeah,
it's basically
because
like Bruno is bullying this college kid, and it's hysterical.
he's sort of like, 'cause he was like, "Your yellow pistol." That was the one I could remember. It's when he talked about the one he's like, Dustin is yellow, the color of piss, huh? They must not think well of you. And I was like, so damn, bro.
Literally fucking
Because
hilarious.
if Bruno like gets up and walks around like 5 different times, and he gets up with the sand, comes back with the sandwich and everything. It's,
And
it's y'all.
Velasquez trying to talk to him, and Dustin's like, "Okay, I'll tell you what you want to know,
He's like, because Bruno
but he
is
needs to leave.
brutal over here. Yeah, because
He needs
Bruno's
to leave." And
brutal.
then so Bruno leaves.
He comes back with the sandwich, I
Like
think, is when he comes back.
30 seconds, comes back in, sits down, unwraps the sandwich, and he's like, I thought he left. He's like, I'm just eating my sandwich. I'm like, this is
It's so funny. That's a funny. That's my
it's
business. That's
so
fun. And
funny.
then he's like, and then he says something. I forgot. I think he's like saying, I think Velasco's talking about like having like a good relationship with I'm not him, with Dustin having this beautiful relationship with his girlfriend. And then Bruno says something mean again. And he's like, don't listen to him. He's divorced. And,
Yeah, it's so funny.
they were goofy.
Um, so then we find out that it literally is a point of the game. They go to
Yeah,
these hospitals to find these women, and it's 1 point for every girl from a country. No repeats, and it has to be consensual. Assaults don't count.
yeah. This should not be. And that's not part of their game. They're like, don't be doing that. It has to be central.
That's what we're going into. And they're literally like, it's 8. They call it sex tour. They're like, this is the first case we're dealing with of sex tourism.
Yeah, you're like,
It's like, what the hell? These kids are literally going from hostel to hostel to find this
yeah,
woman for this game.
exactly, exactly. Like, don't you have anything better to do with your time? Like college
Yeah.
boys.
And they're like, there's gotta be something because right now, like all the women, like, it seems consensual. But then they find another victim from Bulgaria. Her name is Nicole, and they're flying her in.
Her back. They're buying her back. She's left
Yeah,
already.
she left. Flying her black. She said she talked to the guys. She said that it was flattering, but then they treated her like a prize. Um, she mentioned that Dustin had food poisoning, so he went back to the hostel, which is important to note because he said that at the beginning of the episode that he
Yeah.
had food poisoning. I'm
So,
like,
but they're like, why aren't you coming, man? He was like,
food poisoning again. That seems
oh, you don't
sucks.
get people saying not often.
And so so Nicole goes into details and says that Hayden assaulted her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So apparently the rule of it has to be consensual doesn't mean shit. Um, and the reason she and Olivia's like, is there anything else you can tell us? She's like, yeah, I got a
A weird call.
call for that I got a hit from 23andMe that I was at risk for cystic fibrosis. And it's literally like, holy shit. Because the whole thing is there's only 3 of them right now. They were trying to figure out who keeps score. How do they
Mm-hmm.
know that they get who gets the points?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a 4th person at Cambridge who works
There
with
was no
DNA.
like DNA lab,
They take the DNA
and they test it.
from
Make sure.
the girl they were with. The friend tests it to see where the girl came from.
Mm-hmm. You're like,
What the fuck?
that's it. Exactly. I'm like, what is this? Why are you doing?
They literally go to the guy, and you can tell he's like, and then he's like, look, if you don't want to get in trouble, you're gonna tell us who gave you the DNA for the girl
It?
from Singapore. And we find out it was Dustin.
Yeah.
So nerdy boy ain't as
Yeah, he's not as innocent as he seems.
innocent as he seems. Um, so they're basically the guys are all going to take a plea in due time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
The dean of robotics expelled the boys because he's like
That's
appalled that
not ethical
happening
at all.
at his school under his nose the entire time. Literally, the reason why they were top students is because of partly because of this. And he's like, No. And Leah is just like, Can
He's
I
just
go
ready to go home.
can I go home? And Olivia's like, Yes, yes, you can. Then we get a little scene at the end of Olivia and Sykes and
They're
Curry
watching it on the TV at first.
watching the press conference, and then they're talking. And I think it was Sykes who Shanna was like, So, did you think you were gonna be here? Did you think SVU was always gonna be your plan? And Olivia was like, 25 years? No. No.
No, it's
It,
a long time to do
it
anything.
was funny. It was like, damn, I feel like there was a little bit of Mariska in there. She's like,
Yeah,
no,
like 25 years is a long time for the show to still be on. The longest running TV drama.
yes.
They
Um,
kind of talk about kids, and she like brings
and
up like was that in
how,
the thing?
and I think somebody, because it started with like, after the press conference, Sykes was like, man, it sucks having a son or something like that. And
Mhm.
Olivia's
I think I
like,
missed it.
hey, and literally lifts up a
She
picture
picks up
of
the
Noah,
picture.
and she's like,
Look, my
oh,
son.
my bad. Um, and she's like, how'd that happen? And she's like, kind of just fell into my lap.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep, it's a wild story, but that's what happened.
and then Curry goes on and says she's a planner. Everything is,
Hmm.
which
But
is like Shirlish, and Sykes is a tumbleweed, kind of like Nancy was. Um,
doing whatever.
and then Olivia goes on to say, with this job, I think it had a plan for me. And
Yeah,
that is
and that's the last one.
and that's the last line. So yeah, I give this a 3.
Yeah,
It was okay.
it was okay. Nothing too special about it, you know. Well, at least they got justice, That's the matter about it.
Yeah, that was the good part. This
Justice
time it was
was served.
actually justice.
Justice was served. That's all. That was
All right, what's next? I don't even remember what happened next. What's next week?
probability of doom. It says when a woman turns her husband in for owning CP, a case is complicated by a sudden death. Benson tries to reconnect with the victim she saved.
That's gonna be interesting because there's a
From
lot
what
of
I People think that the victim she saved, she's trying to connect with, is Maria from the episode 911 because it's the same actress, or so they think. It
hope
was on
so.
it was
I
on a wiki, so we take wikis from a grain of salt
I
because the
would
fan submitted.
I would cry. I feel like they should do that. That'd be
They should.
so
We'll find
stinking
out, I guess.
amazing.
Well, it won't be next week. It'll be week after. Sorry,
Yeah,
it's hiatus coming up. This week is
what
hiatus, so it will be.
the
Well,
show's
it
coming
depends on.
on 15th.
Yeah, yeah, we'll find out. But man, we're gonna put this up Wednesday. Unless y'all would, I might do one part with this week and one part. We'll figure it out. Anyway, I'll do it after I edit. Anyway, so
Yeah,
yeah,
one more show we have to discuss, but we're gonna wait
yeah,
because
we
the
do
Zoom
get
is
Olivia in the captain's uniform. We don't really know why, but it's captain's
what?
uniform.
Is
Then
this
this is the
when she gets?
episode in the uniforms in this one yet.
Ooh, fancy.
So I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, we'll get into OC later because I still need to go put my shirt on and everything, but the Zoom is about to go boom. So for now, we're just gonna
Yeah,
keep talking about SBU. Um, I already mentioned it, but really, shame, shame. No Carisi in an episode on Peter's birthday. Shame, shame. Shame on you.
Hmm.
How dare. Like, shame. We do know, not next week, but I think the week after, there is like
Yeah,
a Parisi
it's
thing
high.
on. Yay.
Yes, the next one after the one that's the 20, because we'll be back on the 14th. The
That's
21st will be the
so
next one.
everyone's
We'll
really
do.
excited about this.
I'll be on spring break. Ooh. Anyway,
I'll be
spring.
or back from recovery, hopefully. Who knows? So yeah, there's crazy stuff coming up soon. That'll be interesting.
I don't know what, but it is. Um,
Let's see.
mm,
I mean, there isn't really a point in starting anything because
no, I could just hang up and you can go ahead and so the 8 minutes will be done by the time you're ready. So, or 10 minutes, however long it is, I don't
wait, can you stop recording? But we keep
know.
okay, we'll be back, guys.